Welcome back, guys, to Ace Attorney Investigations 2, Prosecutors Gambit, where last episode, continuing to hear about the past investigation, we worked out that Artie Frost's real identity was the famous sculptor Paul Halik, before Von Karma took all of those here away to be questioned, leading to us moving on to December 25th and the detention center as we informed our client of what had occurred so far, learning that he had eaten the strings on the statue's lyre. We now have returned to the contest venue to investigate further, because that's the real question. What are we doing? What are our next steps? Detective Bad, thank you again for what you did earlier. Yeah, thanks a ton. What are you talking about? There's no need to be shy about it. Never mind that now. I'm guessing you two are back here, looking to investigate some more. We are indeed. We'll need something solid if we're going to save Mr. Tangaroa. Well, I hate to break it to you, but apart from this room, the whole place is on lockdown. What? But we need to see those other rooms! This is Mr. Von Karma's doing, I presume. Who else? Haven't seen the autopsy report yet either. Guy's probably got a hand in that too. Don't expect to speak with anybody, except us cops and Miss Bound. Everybody else is gone, and I doubt Von Karma will be handing out phone numbers. Is this all just a game to him? Why does he have to go so far? So what's your plan of action, Detective? Same as before. Do what I can to help you uncover the truth, like I promised. You have my gratitude. Just you wait, Mr. Von Karma. We're gonna beat you in your bag of dirty tricks. Detective, may we conduct a brief investigation of the area? Sure, but like I said, everywhere else is off bounds. You probably won't be seeing these rooms again. That's fine, as long as there's at least some way of continuing our investigation, we'll make do. Just this room. There's no one in the fountain, right? That guy's looking at it intently, so I'd assume not. The statues on the fountain depict cherubs enjoying some chocolate fondue. Paul Halik's work, apparently. Gotta hand it to him. They look so real. Detective, are you saying you have personally seen cherubs before? Attorneys, always poking holes in people's words. What? Did I do something wrong? Yes, technically you did. Anyway, we've got people to speak to, but we should probably speak to Bad first. What is it? About the case. Any thoughts on the case, Detective? Officially, as a cop, my thoughts are Von Karma's right about everything. But, as myself, I'm not happy. We need to investigate more, here and elsewhere. I'll put a word in for you, with forensics. Ask the guy whatever you want. Much appreciated. I'm in your debt, Detective Bad. I didn't do it for you. I did it for the investigation. I guess I could check out the sign. This sign shows which artist's work is on display in which room. From left to right, Mr. Tangaroa, Mr. Gusto, Miss Scone, and Mr. Frost. Incidentally, this sign is also made from candy. What were they going to do with all of this candy? Was somebody going to eat it when the contest was over? I'll do it. Actually, probably not, because it's probably had everyone sneeze on it, paw prints on it. Excuse me, may I ask what you're investigating? Sir, I'm analyzing the fountain water to see what might be in it, sir. And? What did you find? Chocolate and what looks like the kind of flavorings and colorings used in frozen desserts, sir. The composition of the chocolate seems to be the same as that of Mr. Tangaroa's work. And the flavorings and colorings match the profile of those used in Mr. Frost's ice sculptures. Those little rivers flow from all four artists' room right here to this fountain. Guess that's how the stuff from the melted sculptures wound up in there. And that's not all, sir. We also found blood. What? Why is there blood in the water? Think back to our investigation of the murder scene, Detective. Take another look at the scene in front of us, Detective. A very conspicuous pool of blood that should be here is clearly missing. You're right. Don't remember anybody mentioning they'd remove the body along with blood along with the body. The body along with the blood. Oh my god. The victim's blood was mysteriously absent, as was the part of the chocolate chest it had pulled on. I believe that the blood probably belonged to... the victim. Most likely. It's just like under a pseudonym, so now I'm like, I was about to say Artie Frost, but it's not really right either.
Take that!
The victim, I'll have the guy compare it with the blood on the murder weapon. It's a match. The blood in the fountain is Frost's. But why would someone want to send the victim's blood downstream and into the fountain like this? Well, that's true. Frost's blood was found in the fountain, but not at the scene of the crime. Also, why does verifying machines have to have such a nice noise to say, yes, you are right? What's going on with you, buddy? Moment of your time, Eddie. Sure thing, Mr. E. What's up? Oh, we get to ask you quite a bit. Do you have any thoughts on the case? Oh, you bet I do. Mr. Tangaroa's amazing display being used to store the body. Miss Scone's beautiful dreamscape being used to store the murder weapon. We're really seeing some beautiful things being used for ugly purposes on this case, huh? Bang even. I suppose we are. And to make things worse, Miss Bounds seems super down. When I asked if you had any thoughts on the case, I was thinking more about useful insights. Oh, sorry, Mr. E. Did I do something wrong? I worry about you sometimes, Eddie. How are you liking your first crime scene investigation, Eddie? Oh, it's great. I've been taking notes about everything, and I'm learning so much. I'm so happy you let me tag along, Mr. Edgeworth. So, you want to be an attorney, huh? You bet I do. I'd give anything to be a hero of justice, to help the helpless and fight for what's right. The first time I saw Mr. E do his thing in court, I knew I'd found my calling. You know, cops look out for people too. Sure, but I want to be an attorney. Well, good luck to you. I get the feeling Detective Bad might be pining for an apprentice of his own. Maybe he will. It seems these instruments are used on Mr. Tangaroa and Miss Bounds' TV show Bacon Bop. They're some of the few things in here that aren't made of candy. Is it just me, or does the detective seem a little disappointed? You want to eat some candied instruments? I mean, this looks very candy itself, though. There's a drum set here, decorated to look as if it were made out of cakes. They must play it on Bacon Bop. Detective, about these drums. We already checked. There's nothing inside any of them. And no sign of anything having been put inside or taken out either. They're not relevant to the case. You've already done your homework, I see. I may like lollipops a little too much, but I'm no sucker. Fair dues. The piano is not interesting. So look at the things we've got out here. This is literally the same tree as well in the future when you think about it. It's all represented by trees in the future. We never got to see this side of the room in the future, did we? Authorized personnel only bar on this point, I'm afraid. Meaning what? I'm not authorized. Sorry, sir, no authorized personnel either. So nobody's allowed in. Let me guess. Von Karma's orders? Guy's really starting to grind my gears. A Santa Claus statue. Is this made of candy too? That door leads to Tangaroa's room, so yeah. Could be he made that thing too. Speaking of Santa, that reminds me, I still need to find a present for Miles. He wanted an attorney's badge. I wonder if Mr. Tangaroa would make one out of candy for me if I asked. He's behind bars! That's the door to Gusto's room. I guess the candy reindeer is meant to show the way. Big antlers like that? Must be a bull. I think not. Male reindeer shed their antlers in winter. Therefore, this must be a female. Thanks, Mr. Trivia. Attorneys. They don't teach you about reindeer in law school, detective. They do not indeed. Or maybe they do. We don't know in this crazy world. This is quite the trophy. Awarded to Tangaroa. First place International Confectioners Association Annual Spectacular. It's made of candy. I guess it wasn't meant to last forever. Makes sense. Prizes, fame, none of it lasts forever, right? I doubt there's anything quite that deep. Where does this elevator go? The second floor. Tangaroa and Bound live up there. Sounds like they live a pretty charmed life. Tea parties, candy making, that kind of thing. They even have a garden. Must be nice on a sunny day. That does sound nice. Perhaps they'll invite us when all this is over. You'd come, wouldn't you, detective? Don't get ahead of yourself now. I'm not in the habit of palling around with attorneys. These trophies all belong to Mr. Tangaroa, but they're not all for confectionery contests. Some appear to be for charity work. A testament to both his character and his professional achievements. What's this one here? In recognition of Bacon Bob's long-standing achievement in making children's dreams come true. That's so sweet. It's got me wanting to watch it. Scone's room is through there. It's marked by a snowman. A candy snowman by the look of it. Oh yeah? Well, I'll be. He's really sizing it up. He isn't thinking of making that into his next lollipop, is he? Might take a while. Well, it depends on what it's made out of. Is this made out of candy? It's a Christmas tree made from candy. These candy statues have everybody on edge. If ants get here, that's our scene ruined. Yes, it would be pretty disastrous, I suppose. Introduce the ants. Let the chaos reign. There's a liar here. Some maracas designed to look like ice cream cones. They're so well made that it's hard to tell what's candy and what's not just by looking. I'd reach out and touch them, but then I'd be disturbing the crime scene. Hands off. Already checked them out. They're real. Check them out how exactly? Did you manhandle vital evidence, detective? I didn't touch them. Not with my hands, at least. Did he... Never mind, I don't want to picture it. You say he licked the cones. I mean, it could have happened. Well, there's only one person to speak to, which is why we went round the way we did, to be totally fair of you. Miss Bound, we're here to continue our investigation. Oh, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm so sorry about earlier. She's still looking kind of down in the dumps, Mystery. She must have been greatly taken aback by what Mr. Tangaroa had to say. I found the photograph of the semi-final entries for you. Here, it's all yours. Wow, Miss Scone sure knows how to make a cute cake. Yes, Samson loved her design for that one. And he loved the designs and flavors of Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost entries too. Only problem was, as Samson mentioned earlier, they tasted exactly the same. However, their respective entries for the final tasted nothing alike, it seems. Was there anything else of note that changed between the semi-final and the final? Nothing major, but I guess there was one thing. Mr. Gusto's son was always here with him throughout the contest. But he was nowhere to be seen during the final. Why would his son come and hang out at a contest venue of all places? You're sure you're happy for us to keep hold of this? Of course, I hope it helps with your investigation. A son? Semi-final entries added to the court record. Oh, and I also have the book containing the recipe for the cure Samson mentioned. We've seen this book before. It was in the chocolate frame in Tangaroa's room. That's right, he put it on display there so that everybody could see the grand prize. What? The cure is in the ultimate cookbook? So it's not a book of dessert recipes, I take it? Oh no, we told the contestants, of course. But I guess nobody told you yet. So the contestants all knew what the ultimate cookbook was this whole time. A book containing formulas for creating a cure for taste disorders and other chemical and pharmaceutical items. Which is why a pharmacist would want to be here. I'd like to hear more about the cookbook if you don't mind, Miss Bound. So if I understand correctly, the Ultimate Cookbook is actually a collection of recipes for different medicines. Exactly, or rather, totally new medications that haven't made it to market yet, to be precise. To the right buyer, a pharmaceutical company, for example, it would be worth a fortune. But why make that the grand prize in a confectionery contest? Mr. Tangaroa is the sole heir to the Tangaroa family fortune. Perhaps you heard of the Tangaroa Group? The Tangaroa Group? Yeah, I think I've heard of them somewhere before. It's a major pharmaceutical corporation. Sells all kinds of pills and poisons. Oh yeah, that new Cold Killer Pro has been making some real waves since it went on sale. I always reach for a cold killer when I'm feeling under the weather. Which is never, as far as I've seen. I'd like to hear more about the Tangaroa Group if you don't mind. So did Mr. Tangaroa not want to take over his parents, or for his parents, and go into the family business? No, he preferred the idea of making people's lives better through the power of confectionery. And his parents supported him in his quest to become the best in the world. Then when they passed away, he inherited the cookbook. But why would he make such a valuable heirloom a mere contest prize? He's been hounded by so many people looking to make the book their own. He was tired of it. But it would have been an insult to his parents' memory simply to give it away. So he decided to find somebody he felt was worthy of it. I'll bet the board of directors love that. Handing over the fruits of all their expensive research to someone else. They hated the idea, of course, which is why Delicia entered the contest. The Tangaroa Group wanted her to win the book back for them. So you knew she was a pharmacist all along? Yes, and not only that, I told her how to appeal to Samson's tastes. I tried to help her win. But why? I wanted to protect Samson by protecting the Tangaroa Group. If that cookbook fell into another company's hands, the board would never forgive him. So I wanted to find a way to keep it with the company, but in a way that Samson couldn't object to. So that's how Miss Scone managed to make it so far in a contest she had no business taking part in. But Miss Scone wasn't the only one pretending, was she? Mr. Frost wasn't really a confectioner either. And he still made it all the way to the final just like she did. Not bad. Yes, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Such a talented sculptor and a gifted crafter of desserts too. Gifted indeed, judging by the standard of his work in the final. But how did one man produce pieces of that size and quality in such a short period of time? I'm not sure I have much more to tell you, but if there's anything else I can help you with, I'd be happy to, of course. She's certainly very keen to ensure that she does all she can for Mr. Tangaroa. I could certainly use a cup of the tea you made us yesterday, if you wouldn't mind. I think that might help move the investigation along nicely. Oh, I'll have some too. Your tea is to die for, Miss Bound. Well, how could I possibly refuse? I'll bring it right out. You know, I think that cheered her up a little. Is our investigation complete again? We've learned a little more about the contest participants, but there's still one question involving Mr. Gusto for which we never got an answer. Nothing at all, Mr. Gusto. You went into Mr. Frost's room, didn't you? Perhaps you could tell us why. Sure, I was... Silence! You are not to give the attorney even the tiniest shred of information. What was he doing in Mr. Frost's room? And that's not all. I also have questions about the work he submitted through the semi-finals. A confectioner admits to lacking design sense and a sculptor with it in spades. Mr. Gusto could not have hoped to win such a high-level contest by himself, which is why I'm beginning to wonder if there was some sort of connection between him and Mr. Frost. Detective, I need to ask Mr. Gusto a few more questions. His story still doesn't quite add up for me. Me neither. We need to figure out how to get in touch with him. Oh, do you now? Ah! Good luck with that, because I have no intention of allowing it. Mr. Von Karma, I am already in the midst of my own investigation into Gusto, so there is no need for the likes of you to pester him with the same questions again. I will, however, be happy to answer any questions you might have. He seems dead set on preventing me from talking to Mr. Gusto, in which case... Fine, Then allow me to take you up on your offer. Very well. What is it? I'd like you to tell me about the connection between Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost. Gusto and Frost's connection. The connection between Gusto and Frost. It was simply a matter of coincidence. They both happened to be taking part in the same contest. Okay. And that's all. That's all I have to say to you. What? But that doesn't help us at all. We'll have to confront him with evidence if we want to draw the truth out of him. And it's imperative that we do. He's clearly hiding something. Well, I'm assuming, based on it being two whole statements, that it's the second statement. The connection between Gusto and Frost, especially when this is the question back.
Hold it!
Yes, there must have been a connection of some kind. And if you would cease your baseless interruptions, I will happily tell you what it is. If this were a courtroom, I would have you removed for contempt. But isn't that solely the judge's purview? Yeah, a Judge Von Karma would probably have dancing to his tune. What? Even judges are scared of him? It won't be an easy trial, that's for sure. Please, Mr. Von Karma, continue. It was simply a matter of coincidence. They both happened to be taking part in the same contest.
Hold it!
Granted, it may have simply been a coincidence that they both entered the same competition, but that doesn't rule out a connection of some other kind between the two of them.
Objection!
I do hate to repeat myself, but if you do not have any pertinent evidence, then kindly keep your mouth shut. Guess I'll just do as he says for now. At least until I find the evidence that proves Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost's connection. Still, the look in your eyes speaks volumes. Well, go on then. What are you trying to say? Make up your mind, will you? Should I keep my mouth shut or not? It seems Mr. Von Karma is keen to keeping us away from the truth. There, that sentence. Keen to keeping us away from the truth, sure. Which means the truth must be inconvenient to him somehow, right? Well, it always would be. Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost had something in common. I just need to present the thing they shared to Mr. Von Karma. Alright, change to number 2. Present the thing that looks like, very obviously, that they had one with the ability to make the stuff and one with a design sense to make it look cool as hell. Considering the fact they literally have the same flowers on them and everything, the same colorations, the same everything. You just are made by the same person, product-wise, and then sculpted by a second person. It's like you look at them and you say, like, there's no difference.
Objection!
I wonder if you could look at the two confections in the foreground for me, Mr. Von Karma. They were made for the contest semi-finals. Both are quite exquisitely crafted, wouldn't you agree? Get to the point. As the nameplate suggests, these were Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost's entries. Mr. Gusto told us the confectionery design was far from his strong suit. And yet his work in the picture is just as good as Mr. Frost's. Exactly as good, in fact. We learned from another witness that their two entries also tasted exactly the same.
Objection!
What are you suggesting? I am suggesting that they were helping one another out. Let's take a closer look, shall we? While at first glance the two may appear to be superficially different, it soon becomes apparent that there are significant similarities in how they were put together. They are made of the same ingredients, taste the same, and share a similar design aesthetic. This picture is proof positive that the two were working together. If you figure that much out, I suppose there's little point in denying it. Mr. Von Karma knew all along that they were cooperating. But I'll warn you, none of what you're about to hear will be to your advantage. Gusto and Frost's real connection. Let me confirm what you seem so desperate to prove. Gusto and Frost were indeed working together. Gusto spelled out the details of his relationship to Frost during his questioning last night. It seems they were helping one another right up until the day before the final. So, you knew that the two were cooperating. Mr. Von Karma, why are you trying to bury the truth?
Objection!
Please, enough with the petty slander. I merely wanted to avoid you poking your nose around before I could provide proper context in court. It simply slipped my mind to explain it to you. It doesn't explain why he's being so slippery with the facts, though. I need to figure out what it is he's hiding. I can't let things end like this. Let me confirm what you seem so desperate to prove. Gusto and Frost were indeed working together.
Hold it!
So you did know that there was a connection between the two. Why were you trying to hide it? I don't just hand out information like candy, and certainly not to the defense. Not like that lollipop nursing fool of a detective over there. You do things your way, and I'll do them mine. And you wonder why I refuse to share information with a traitor like you? Gusto spelled out the details of its relationship to Frost during his questioning last night.
Hold it!
Last night, after Mr. Frost's work melted, correct? Yes, I interviewed Gusto personally. Yeesh, a one-on-one with Mr. Von Karma. That must have been terrifying. I imagine Mr. Gusto probably meditated his way through the difficult parts. He most certainly did not, every time he closed his eyes. I brought him back with an almighty snap. No one dares to plead the fifth with me. Did that even work on him? And that is how I was able to perfectly learn every last detail of Gusto and Frost's relationship. It seems they were helping one another right up until the day before the final.
Hold
it! But why were they cooperating? Gusto's sense of design is subpar, and Frost was an amateur confectioner at best. Neither of them stood a chance of making it through the contest alone. So what was their end game? Why cooperate only until the day before the finals? Gusto claims to have ended the scheme. Allegedly, he wanted to win the final on his own merits. His one and only goal, really, was to be crowned the world's best confectioner. And his pride would not allow him to do so with the help of another. Cheaters can only ever win hollow victories, I guess. I was under the impression that their collaboration had only lasted through the semi-finals. But I'm starting to think it might have lasted up through the final itself. Mr. Von Karma, I'd like to ask you some more about how long they worked together for, if you don't mind. If you must. Gusto's sense of design is subpar, and Frost was an amateur confectioner at best. Was that what we just got? The two cooperated until the day before the final, then decided to compete on their own merits. Did that change this one as well?
Hold it!
Before you ask, I'm not objecting to your characterization of Mr. Gusto's design sense. Yeah, he admitted himself he wasn't all that great. Or isn't all that great. He made what he alleged to be a likeness of me. Just thinking of the abomination he came out with turns my stomach. Yeah, I kinda like the guy's work. An artistically rich amateur and an artistically impoverished professional. In a way, it was inevitable that they would wind up working together. The two cooperated until the day before the final, then decided to compete on their own merits.
Hold it!
You really believe that they were cooperating until the day before the finals, and then just simply stopped? That seems a little strange to me, wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
I have told you the truth. Whether you find it strange or not is none of my concern. He was concerned enough to try to hide it from me only a few minutes ago, though. Which means there must have been a reason for that. Based on Mr. Tangro's assessment, it sounded as if Mr. Frost's entry for the final was the clear winner. Which means he must have still been working with Mr. Gusto, right? That's precisely what I was thinking. I must have some evidence that proves they were cooperating right up through the finals. So probably to that last statement then? But we have to present something too. The question is what? What is our link? How much evidence do we have at this point in time? You know, the Ultimate Cookbook, semi-final entries themselves, which we already presented to this kind of stuff. The victim's blood. Misgown's statement. Frost sculptures were scrumptious except for the lyre, which was salty. Is that anything to do with it? I guess it's the fact that they tasted really good, but what's going on with the lyre? If it tasted good, then it would have to have them combining together, wouldn't it? It's probably this. Though, of course, that leaves some options. And leaves the salty substance. How to deal with that as an issue.
Objection!
They weren't working together during the finals. I find that a little hard to believe. Miss Scone is on record as having described Mr. Frost's creations as scrumptious. And while he was certainly skilled, I doubt even he could have become a world-class confectioner overnight. It seems far more likely to me that he and Mr. Gusto were still cooperating during the finals. That is probably the very much truth of it. They were definitely doing it, and we have kind of proved it, or at least we're still really postulating. We haven't got definitive proof. We'd have to actually wrest that out from Mr. Gusto himself as the only alive party. But Von Karma probably knows, and we need to get at Von Karma the most. But that will happen next time on Ace Attorney Investigations 2 Prosecutors Gambit, as that brings to a close another episode. I hope you join me for the next one as we get even deeper into our third case. Until then, I say bye-bye.